Oh my gosh.
You're not really called. We're just bugging you. You're really bugging. No, I'm joking. Go ahead and take your time.
Oh,
Hi there.
my heart is gonna blow out of my chest.
Take your time, really. So.
Okay. Um,
Where are you calling from?
Okay. Well, that's a little bit of my background, but I'm originally from South Korea. And I was a psychiatrist there, and I decided I'm too burnt out. I feel like gray concrete. My life is collapsing. And I had just one or two words. Awareness is big in psychiatry, and all of my patients and me, we have no awareness. We're just going circles, thinking, like what you've just said, you know, the cognitive, the thinking mind and health professionals, we want to fix it, like pop medication. I just say, oh, see you in a few weeks, you'll be fine. Side effects, doesn't matter. But then it wasn't really working for me. It wasn't fulfilling my heart. And one more, just awareness and enough talking. And then out of the blue, I just thought, oh, mindfulness. I don't know, I heard about it. I hear it's great. Maybe I can go on a sabbatical with mindfulness. So I brought myself to UC San Diego Center for Mindfulness. Mm-hmm. I've met great teachers.
Steve Hickman.
Oh, yes. Very lovely man. He actually helped me come. And a lot of great teachers, lots of good programs. And I learned a lot. And
are you there now?
Yes, I quit my job. I quit my job in Korea, and then I just said no more.
In other words, you actually listened to your heart?
I followed your directions, thinking, you know, at first I thought, oh, I'm gonna get this down in 1 year. I'll go back to Korea and I'll share it with my patients and my colleagues, and that'll be good. You know, I can do it. I'm good with white knuckling stuff.
Right.
And then I realized what a profound thing I found. And my heart was saying, if you go back, I'm not going to go with you. So
your heart said that to you?
Yeah. And it told me that I'll regret it when I'm 60. I'll regret it when I'm 70 if I don't stop now and look and take care of me and my family. And so I'm here in the pandemic. I left everything. So I brought my son and my husband back home, but we're just stuck here, two of us.
Right.
And I'm in this big journey. So I'm in San Diego. That's what I wanted to say. And my question is, I have been so cognitive and so stuck in my head, always doing on autopilot in a pressure cooker. And then I couldn't stand it. So I feel like I'm a racing horse. And then this racing horse decided to jump over the fence because there was a really nice, spacious field. And I land myself in the field, and I'm sort of unlearning and learning. And it's a big jungle. It's so confusing sometimes. And sometimes I don't know if I'm even going the right direction, or it's just all confusing. I feel like a toddler sort of learning life for the first time. And the question would be, how do I really get close to my being, my authentic self? And because I'm just getting comfortable with being, with doing nothing. And that.
No, it's not doing nothing. It's non-doing. Be careful with that distinction.
Okay, sorry.
No. It's easy to fall into that, but it's a very, very important distinction.
Oh, thank you.
That non-doing is not doing nothing.
Oh, yeah. But it's so strange for me. It's just so strange, and I don't know how to dance or trust, but you have all these 9 fundamentals, and I go back to them over and over and tell myself that this is all good, you know, being in the not knowing, and it'll take me somewhere. And
well, as long as you're not causing harm, suffering. I mean, you're stuck, right? And so you're stuck between Korea and the United States, between, you know, wherever you live in Korea and San Diego, and your past and what you care about now. And so it's perfectly fine to not know what the hell you're doing. I mean, you know, not only is it perfectly fine, it's like, it's fantastic because that's where imagination, creativity, and real transformation lie. And that can be of tremendous benefit, not just to you, but to the world in whatever way who you have been up to this point interfaces with who you are discovering you are now. And then that will be your gift to the world. Is will be you, whether you wind up doing psychiatry here or in Korea, or you wind up not doing psychiatry at all, or whatever. You know, at the moment you don't know. And that's, can it be okay to just be in the not knowing and see what it has to teach you? Because you're there anyway. So if it's okay, then it becomes the love affair. And if it's not okay, then you can easily fall into anxiety and depression and thinking all the time. And but it sounds to me, just from our brief conversation, that your instincts are really healthy, really healthy.
Well, it's all thanks to you
Well,
and all the seeds you've spread that have landed in San Diego and at the Center for Mindfulness.
yeah, if you do go back to Korea, let me suggest that you get in touch with a wonderful, wonderful friend and colleague of mine, Hae Young An. I don't know if you know him or not.
I'm reading his translated version of your book right now, and
Okay.
and I've heard of his name, but I think I needed to find out all the way, come back to my original country and my ancestors or whatever history, because I didn't know you had a Korean master or teacher. Or
Yeah, I was very, you know, and I love Korea and the culture there. And I've, you know, had some really remarkable encounters in the Chogyal Zen tradition there. Um, and Hae-young is doing MBSR in Korea in a really profoundly authentic way. And a lot of people, of course, take MBSR and they just claim to be MBSR teachers. They don't know the first thing about it. And, you know, and there's something in Korea called MBSRK for Korean, because they decided that it was too complicated. What real MBSR is too complicated for Koreans. I don't know how somebody knows that, but, and so they made some kind of more cognitive behavioral distillation of it, which is not anything like what the real practice is. So how wonderful to connect like this. I mean, you know, it sounds like you're in an incredibly sort of challenging moment, because for one thing, you're stuck because of the pandemic between, you know, your family and being here, and or part of your family. You have one child here. Okay, so you're not alone.
My Zen master.
Yeah, your live-in Zen master. And so since we're all stuck in one way or another at this particular moment, can we find ways to be creatively stuck and discover that not only are we not stuck, but this is a kind of incubation period, like, you know, like a pregnancy, where you're actually giving birth to yourself, if you pardon my putting it that way, or something is giving birth to you beyond whatever the forces were that brought you to this moment. And I would say that's trustworthy. In my experience, that's always been trustworthy. Is it terrifying? Absolutely terrifying. And everybody who loves you will tell you you're making a big mistake. That's part of the evidence that you're not making a big mistake. Because people are attached to the projections of who you are rather than give you the space to actually be who you are in the mystery of not knowing and see what comes of that. That's the only way the world is going to change. Your world, my world, whatever worlds we're inhabiting. And that's what I mean when I say the world needs all its flowers. I mean, we need you to be who you need you to be. And if you can thread that needle, and I'm not saying it's easy, but the alternative is imprisonment of one kind or another, or in deadening. And we don't have time for that anymore, either on a personal family level or on a global, sort of geopolitical or, sort of environmental level. Humans just, we don't, that would be irresponsible, simply irresponsible. And what we need is to be responsible, able to, capable of responding mindfully rather than reacting mindlessly out of fear or the sense of I, me, and mine and delusion. I see that, you're getting exactly what I'm saying, and you got it before I said it.
Oh my goodness. Just yeah, I'm really grateful that you made it so approachable, something that's so ancient that I've been ignoring that I had ever I didn't even want to know it was in my culture, and
Right.
you made it so approachable that I had to come all the way to America to find out that I could have learned this somewhere if I had the mind to it. But this is all my journey, I guess.
Yeah, but you're not alone. I mean, Korean Zen, which is the only aspect of it that I know something about, that's also going through changes. And it turns out that a lot of them are actually interested in MBSR because it, in some sense, universalizes something that's hundreds and hundreds of years old in Korea, but also like that people have the wrong idea about.
Yes.
And they have
Yes.
the wrong idea about it because the bureaucracy has given them the wrong idea. It's not
Yes.
like they made it up.
Yes.
So it's a kind of bidirectional fecundity that's feeding some kind of new emergence where it's always been about liberation. It's always been about liberation. Chinul, a great Korean Zen master from around the 8th century or something like that, or 12th century, I'm not sure. But Chinul's writings are as powerful today as they were when he wrote them. And they bear a lot of deep inquiry. And it's nothing separate from what we're doing here, mindfulness. There's not an angstrom of separation, but you can't get to it with the thinking mind. Even if you were a psychiatrist and a psychologist and a neuroscientist, you couldn't get anywhere close to it.
No.
Not that that stuff's not all beautiful in its own right, but it has to be integrated across multiple intelligences. And that's the kind of juncture that we're at on the planet where neuroscience and psychiatry and psychology and clinical medicine are understanding that a certain kind of holism is required. That means seeing people as miraculous beings from the very beginning and realizing that we'll never know everything fully. And that's beautiful. And that not knowing and knowing that we don't know, that's profoundly therapeutic even, I think, because it's not like now you're not going to lay some trip on somebody or fix them, to use your word. Yeah, medicine is so much about fixing what's broken. But, fixing is kind of a little bit like curing. There are very few cures in medicine, or this is psychiatry, even fewer. Okay. But healing, always possible. If your understanding of healing is, it's sort of my working definition of it is coming to terms with things as they are.
Mm.
And that can happen in one moment. Come to terms with it, and then all of a sudden it's just like the poem. I have the feeling my boat struck something down there in the depths, and then nothing's happened. Only maybe everything's happened. So we have to recognize that in some sense the non-doing is really everything, because it is a doorway into being. And then out of being, we can do the doing in an entirely different way. And it will be more like love than like ego trip or some kind of professional drive to get some status.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Pleasure meeting you.
Yes. Oh,
Pleasure meeting you.
It's an honor. And I thank you so much, and Soren and John Bashu and all the community that have just made me learn about common humanity and the word suffering and how we can hold it all together. And I'm gonna really take what you've told me to heart. And there are lots of suffering in the world, and I know I what I've left behind, there's a lot of suffering there too. So yeah. I'll really study, or get into this in a more in-depth and in a more heartful way, and maybe I can bring some of this back, some of what you've taught us back, and share it with people I love and who needs it, or I don't know, maybe for free. I don't know.
Listen, whatever you wind up doing is going to be just the right thing. I can just feel that from you, that that you have that kind of integrity and caring, and trust in yourself, to be brave and outside the box. And that's exactly the kind of mind frame. I think every single one of us on this call, people would have given this up weeks ago. I mean, how long have you been on this? Have you been joining us for?
All through.
Why would 1,000 people and then another 1,000 or so people on YouTube stay with it over this long if it wasn't nurturing something really profound? I mean, you've got better things to be doing with this particular hour every day of the week. And yet here we are. And I'm pointing this out because it's not local. It's not in you and in me. It's in we. It's in all of us. And we're each kind of recognizing, I think, that to be who we really are, and to be free, to liberate ourselves from the craziness of our own minds and circumstances, that we really need to care deeply about living the life that's ours to lead, and not some caricature of it that we've synthesized in our thinking brains. Because that's kind of like, in a way, it's a certain kind of self-inflicted torture. The exact opposite of liberation. And then you blame circumstances or your parents or your culture or whatever it is for it. I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm talking for all of us, wherever we are. And what I've loved most about our weeks together, I don't think I've ever felt as understood in a teaching environment as I'm feeling now, and none of us are together. I mean, how is that possible? I feel more understood in this space, and I get more feedback that I'm not deluding myself, but that's actually true, than if I was sitting in front of 1,000 people in a room for 5 days or 7 days or 5 weeks for that matter. There's something remarkable going on here, and it is remarkable because every one of us has in some sense said yes and is continuing to say yes, including our friend Joseph, who's 12 years old, and other kids who are gravitating in whatever ways that they are. And sort of the entire spectrum of age and, you know, sort of every other aspect of how we humans are different from each other. And yet the heart beating in the chest is just astonishing how deeply interconnected we are. And we know it here, at least. So thank you. Thank you, Helen.
Thank
Been
you.
a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you for your being. Thank you for just existing. I mean,
I can't help it.
Yeah, you're just you'll be in my heart forever and ever. And
right back at you. Okay.
You.
And I think in all of our hearts. So wishing you all the best with the, you know, the navigating the ups and downs of it all.
Thank you.
Yeah, and stay safe too.
You